Good morning and welcome. We're going to take a look at how we can use time to actually define how long a scene is going to last inside a game. And so we've got our existing game right here of our drop game, which is the game scene we're working with. We're going to show we can make the game only play for a certain amount of time and then the game itself will end, so we can have that happen. So we're inside our game. We've already done all the game logic before, so you can take a look at the other videos that go along with that. But what we want to do to make sure that we can make that happen is we have to make it so we can time the game itself, and so the game can be arbitrarily ended based on the time that's passing inside the game, and using tools to make that happen. So what we need to do to make that happen is the first thing we have to do is we have to go ahead and we have to create a couple data members to make that happen. So in my data member section right here, you can see I've got two right that we're working with. And so I've got these two right here. And so the first thing we're doing is let a timer node, and it's an SK label node. And I'm giving this in a different font instead of using copperplate bold like I've been using for everything else. This one I'm saying, hey, this is Arial Bold MT. So it's like, oh, boom, it's a little bit different. It's going to be paid attention to. So it's something that we can actually track with that. And then I have a variable int that's a variable named time, which is an int. And I send a really boring value of 21 right here just to get a default. You'd probably want longer than 20 seconds most likely, but that's what we have right here. I did set, so if I change the value, if the time is greater or equal to 10, then I set my timer node text to be the time. However, if it's less than 10, I prepend a 0 on that, so it looks like it's a countdown on time. If you want to make this so it lasts for a longer amount of time, like showing minutes and seconds, you can do the logic to make that happen so it separates out the minutes and seconds by using the divide and modulo equals features of that, but that's something you can do another time. Now that we've got that lovely method right there, we have to make it so we can actually have that so we can start that time counting immediately. That first part happens right here inside our didMove and our countdown. So we'll go to countdown right here. In our countdown method, minus equals 1 on time. Remember, when we're using Swift, we don't have access to a minus operator. We have to use minus equals because it wants to avoid any confusion as to where that belongs to it. And so my time goes down by 1. And if my time is less than 0, I call my in-game method. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at our in-game method and send my in-game method right here. I'm going to make it SK transition, and I'm going to fade with green for 5 seconds. We can see that in some of the other videos. We'll see it here in just a second as well. I make my in-game scene variable, and again, you can take a look at the in-game videos. You can see how to do that as well. I set the score of that from the scene right here, so I can pass that parameter to it. I make sure the height and width match what I'm working with right now, and then I say, hey, I want this to fill. I'm going to present that scene with that transition. Okay, cool. So when I get to less than 0 or equal to 0, I call in-game. Now, when do I do that? How do I set that up? Well, that happens in my didMove when I first load the game. I'm going to go here, and at the bottom of this, I'm going to put a new line right here, and this run line right here is what's going to make this happen. This is how I'm going to make it so I can actually have the countdown happen every single time. So I have a run attached to the scene, so this run is the scene's run, and by doing that, I'm going to call SKAction.runForever. So that's going to keep going as long as the game is running. We'll keep calling the same thing over and over again. Okay, that's great. What I'm going to do, I'm going to call a sequence. What sequence I'm going to do? I'm going to run the countdown method followed by waiting for 1 second. Oh, okay. So I'll run countdown and then a duration, and countdown, wait, countdown, wait, countdown, wait, countdown, wait, which will cause, of course, then countdown to happen. So time goes minus equals 1. Oh, that will cause the did set to fire, which will set the text node to be the reflective of the time. So that will happen over and over and over again, and my app will happen, which will then cause, of course, oh, when I get down to 0, I call in-game. So I come back down here, I go to in-game, which calls that lovely transition, which goes to the other scene, and we're there. Let's go ahead and demo this to see how it works. So we have our game. There's the countdown timer happening once a second, 16, 15, 14. We'll get my score to happen as a parameter right here. Eventually, we'll get a score. There we go. So we've got a score of 20, 8 seconds left. Oh, 40 second, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. My time ends because that repeat forever has now happened. I repeat that now method. I'm at score 40, which is that lovely in-game scene transition. So I fade to with green to get to this new orange scene. And then I can have that happen again. And so that way I have it so I can actually have a lovely little transition happening. I have a timer. I can set that value to happen for any number of amount. Right now I'm just setting it automatically to be using 20 seconds. But you could use any value with that. And again, I use that time equals 20 to force the did set call to make that happen inside the didMove too. So it goes from 21 to 20, but no big deal on that. But that's what we can do to make that happen. And so we can see how we can actually have an in-game scene get called with a transition, so we can have our game linked to a time-based event, so it only operates for a certain number of seconds. And all I have to do is have a timer method or a countdown method and have a end-game method that gets called by that. And I link that with a run, passing a repeat forever, where I pass it the sequence of the countdowning and the waiting that we're having that happen. And that's how we can do that. Hope this is helpful. Cheers and have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.